Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ray Tampa podcast. Our podcast offers bold commentary on various subject matters with a laser-like focus on the truth. My name is Ray Tampa. I'm the host of the Ray Tampa podcast. We have in our studio Mr. Russell Cato, a retired educator with more than 42 years of experience in the Pinellas County schools, and Mr. Jamie Wilson III, a healthcare provider with more than 30 years of experience working as a physical therapist. My co-host, my dynamic co-host. Ladies and gentlemen, it's amazing that Mayor Ken Welch won election with the largest margin of victory since St. Petersburg switched to the strong mayoral form of government. Thousands of residents and supporters celebrated this historic victory and held high hopes for Welch's tenure. Unfortunately, Welch has provided the residents loads of disappointment and heartbreak. Blunder after blunder, poor decision after poor decision, employee resignation after employee resignation. Welch has offered a horrible tenure for the residents. At this point, Welch's job approval is 38%. And guess what? Donald Trump's job approval is higher than Welch's at 41%. There are many reasons for this historic situation. Here's a listing of a few. His election, or his selection of his leadership team members early on was disastrous. He lost his deputy mayor, his communications director, chief equity officer, assistant communications director, and others. Number two, he pushed forward on a planned, a flawed, that is. I have on these glasses because of irritation in my eyes, so bear with me a little. He pushed forward on a flawed Tropicana field development deal that caused former development director Alan DeLisle to comment, quote, no development agreement is perfect, but no city deserves an agreement this bad. The League of Women Voters, they put out a survey that suggested the overwhelming number of residents pleaded, well, I'm going to have to take these glasses off for a second. Whoa, irritated eyes, but okay. Nevertheless, the overwhelming number of residents pleaded for improvements to the development agreement. Residents from several parts of the city complained of not being able to get in order with the mayor. Frustrations ran high, with one pastor going so far as to say, I hate Ken Welch. That was his statement. I hate Ken Welch, a pastor. Another resident cursed him out to the point that an arrest came close to being made. Other residents mumble their disdain quietly in private. It's crazy that these are people who supported his election and couldn't get meetings or returned phone calls. Welch pathetically catered to a small crew of individuals in St. Petersburg's Black community. Now he has a price to pay. I can go on and on with reasons for his job approval rating to be less than Donald Trump's, but time won't permit. All I can say is accountability must be the order of the day. Why would anybody want this nonsense reelected? What I'm hearing from a few is, quote, because he is Black, end of quote. Let's take a look at that statement, because he is Black. The people that are complaining, for the most part, that I'm aware of, are Black as well. And these are people that worked their butts off to see him elected mayor. This statement, because he is Black, is nothing but stupidity. He has to be held accountable. Black, white, green, or gold, it doesn't matter. If you're messing up, refusing to meet with the residents, refusing to listen to the residents, and just making poor decisions all over the place, you need to go. We need a new mayor. Anything, fellas?
Yeah, I'll say something. I like, as far as him getting in, I think it was a lot of pride having first Black mayor. I think it was a lot of pride. People were, it's the pride and the hard work of individuals. And yeah, because he was Black, the first Black mayor got him in, but unfortunately, he's not doing, people are not happy. People are not happy. But voting for him, I mean, I wish it was the other way around, to where it wasn't a big positive thing, something we could really beat our chest about. But he's just not doing what he was elected to do.
Got that right. What'd you say, Russ?
Well, when it comes to Black people, we got to realize that Black people are very important when it comes to the mayor race. They hold the key to how you look at it. A lot of mayors, when they come up for election, that's where they go, to the Black population, because they know this is where it is. And if you can get the Black population to go your way, most likely your chances are you're going to win the mayor election. And another thing too, I noticed what Ray was saying, that about his percentage. I kind of look at it the other way, in a way, because he was like +3. That's where he is above the rating. Now, how do you look at a +3? When I look at his general thing, I think Ray said about 38. I go to the other side and try to figure out the people who are not responding. For instance, I got a chart here, and I notice his ratings among Black is 57 approval percent. Disapproval is 11. Now that 11%, that 11% is very important. It's very important, you see. That's the only classification or rating that he held high. Every other thing it dropped down. For instance, when I look at his non-approval towards Black, it's 32%. There are 32% Black people not sure whether they vote for this guy or not. That's big.
So is that broken down by like age too, like that level?
Well, they didn't say it.
So it didn't break it down. Okay.
Yeah, but when you look at that, Jamie, if you got a 57 thing among Black, but yet on the other side you got 11 who disapprove. But the biggest thing, you got 32% who is not sure
if they would reelect.
That's the killer.
That's a large percentage.
Yeah.
Large percentage. So that means that a candidate who wants to oppose him, they have room.
Oh, yeah.
To put out
a lot of room.
Percentage
A lot
of the
them.
Black community.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
large percent.
Mm-hmm.
The 11% that flat out said we don't approve,
Yeah.
and then the 30+% that
Mhm.
just
Not
haven't made
sure.
up their mind.
Yeah.
Well, that's big chunk.
It's a big
Big
jump.
chunk.
Mm-hmm. That's almost 50%.
Take note. A lot of people have voiced interest in running for mayor.
Mhm.
They haven't put their hats in the ring. The only person being Maria Scruggs. But you have his friends, Caucasians, his friends, who are expressing interest in running against him.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Diamond, put out a poll to find out if he should do it. He eventually decided not to do it, but simply expressing interest in doing it.
Yeah.
Should say something to Welch. And then you got former governor, former state legislator, get it right, former Congressman Charlie Crist expressing strong interest in running against him.
Mm-hmm.
I was told yesterday that City Council member Brandy Gabbard is exploring the possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard, I can't say how true it is, Brandy Gabbard, along with another City Council member, Gina Driscoll, considering running against him. And I'm sure it's going to be more. But he should take note of the people that are exploring the possibility of running against him. Take note of it. But he is the one to blame. He is the one to blame. Well, you can't have an audience or a strong support group in our community that you ignore.
Okay.
You can't do that and then come to these people and say, vote for me again.
No, I don't think that's going to happen.
If you look at his goal within himself, his objective, he likes to use the word inclusive program. He loves to do that. So therefore, if you look at it, he's saying, I want to make sure everybody is represented in St. Petersburg, not only the Blacks or the Midtown people, but everybody. And I tell our audience out there, the citizen of St. Pete, get a report card on. And if you look at his report card, the 5 things, and you evaluate yourself. Let me look at number 1. His campaign pledges to St. Pete and to Pinellas County. How would you rate that from A to F? Number 3, affordable housing. How would you rate that? African American Museum. How would you rate that? And at least in all the grocery store. These are report cards. So you can do it yourself. The A to B. You can do your own ratings. See, no one is trying to go against him. Okay,
right.
Saying, yeah, we just, that's what Ray said, we're just giving you the facts. That's all.
The facts.
I didn't conduct a poll, but people are telling me that poll verifies, justifies everything we've been seeing. And this is a poll that was done independent of us. We didn't know it was coming out, but the poll is saying what we have been saying all along.
And the very reason that all these people are trying to put their hat in to oppose him, they just say they see the blood in the water, they see the damage.
Yes.
So that's why.
He's the one that put that blood in the water for himself. And I hope he swims with that blood in the water.
You know, there was only 2 things that when he came in that he had to do, and he kind of pounced on it. And the first thing he looked at was, I want to promise people about this deferred promise that they had made to the Midtown people back, I think it's 56 years of promises. And he ran on that he's going to take care of that. And the other thing was the baseball situation with the Rays. And I remember Jamie saying this one day, and I think what happened with the Rays, you just didn't have the right people with you to deal with the deal.
To negotiate the deal.
You just didn't have the right.
He got pimped. They wrote the contract, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, if you...
remember Jamie
they wrote
saying
the contract.
I've been trying to find some information on not Alan DeLisle, but Rob Gerdes. Rob Gerdes. who was the chief architect for the city on that deal. I just wanted to know what qualifications did he bring to the table to be in such a high-level position, to be the chief architect between the city and the Raise Hines Group.
I don't know.
Yeah.
At any rate, it not good. It was not good.
I don't know.
And I don't have any disrespect for Rob Gertis. I don't, because he only did what Ken Welch asked him to do.
Yeah.
I have a lot of disrespect for Ken Welch.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say this, if you don't mind. I want to say this. We have an election coming up. We have an election. We got a year and a half, really, for this new election for mayor. And for anybody to vote for Ken Welch is tantamount to those people that voted for Donald Trump. You know the facts.
Yeah.
You know he doesn't deserve to be reelected. So if you vote to reelect him, we're going to get what we're getting now from Donald Trump. Stupidity all over the place.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, we'll another topic. Jamie, what you got?
Well, Russ and I were talking about this open carry, and Russ, I'm gonna let you go ahead and go and dig in there.
No, you know, when I look at that, and Jamie said earlier on the show, the law is the law. Get away from that. But the thing I don't like about it is because these people are flirting with the Second Amendment to the Constitution. And if you look at the Second Amendment to the Constitution, which is back in 1791, something in that area, the interpretation of having a gun is totally different.
Right.
Totally different.
Right.
I think what the people are doing is taking the interpretation and fitting it in to their standard. You know, if you go back and look at the Second Amendment to the Constitution, you say you have a right to defend yourself. That's true. But right now, look what you're going to, Jamie. You're going into a situation where to defend yourself may not be that problem. The right to shoot, the right to hurt someone, it's going to be there. And I think the thing that frightens me with this, that you got young kids who are 18 now, able to buy weapons without license and strap them on. That's scary to me. You know what I'm saying, Chief? So I don't know what the outcome of this thing is going to be. I really don't. But I go back to what you said. It scares me because there's not a strong, good relation between Black youth and the police department.
Right.
That
Right.
scares me.
Right. You're right about that.
Scares me.
And I'm just concerned about the police element too of it. I mean, yeah, this will make it a lot scarier to be a cop, being a police as well, but also the profiling, the whatever that comes with all that's concerned because some may feel, even if they're not being profiled, they may feel that they're being profiled, and which could lead to a heightened state of problems. And if everybody's strapped, you know what I'm saying, with a little mix of whatever, drinking or whatever's going on. But like I say, the law, as you just said, is the law is for law-abiding citizens. And I think more the emphasis, when people, instead of saying it, people are worried about the street people. Street people don't care about a gun, whether it's open carry or whatever. It ain't even registered. Street people, they don't want a gun registered to them. If they put in work, they don't want it coming back. So these laws are for law-abiding citizens. And if you're law-abiding citizens, you're going to follow the rule, and it shouldn't be a problem. It should be a problem. But it's still, we still have this racial epithet and all this other stuff. That's not going to stop, and it's going to add to the fuel of this with guns. Guns going to add to it, to the problem. That's my concern, being treated unfairly or now you watched or whatever. I personally wouldn't walk around with gun on my hip visible. I wouldn't do that. And for business owners, you have the right to say, no, you can't come up in here with a gun. And it shouldn't even be an issue. Just respect it. You can't do it in courthouses or schools or whatever. Public parks, you shouldn't, you know what I mean? Like recreation centers and places like that. The business owner should always have, I was watching something today, man, my mom was at the nursing home with her, and they were talking about this barber. He was like, he's got a sign that he wrote, no guns, no guns. You know, people talk about, like, even watching a friendly game of football, drinking, y'all all strapped, you know what I'm saying? So if you're a law-abiding person, that won't affect you, because there's people with concealed weapons carry, and they're following the law. You know, people, street people that felons or whoever shouldn't have a gun, they know they're not going to do so. I don't think that's going to increase. I think the whole fact of having a gun in the opening with law enforcement, not just, I ain't saying St. Pete specifically, but law enforcement period, could be a potential problem. That's my concern.
Yeah.
And then in their case, it'll be a justified shooting when it's not. That's my concern.
I had Assistant Chief of Police Gillum, St. Pete Police Department, called me a couple of days ago, a couple of mornings ago, because I went to Enoch Davis to hear a presentation about what we're talking about, open carry.
Open carry.
And he said, Ray, I saw you come in, but I didn't get a chance to speak to you. So that was nice for him to call and acknowledge that. But I said, well, I wasn't feeling good, so I did leave. But since you're on the phone, I want to go ahead and ask you a question, is what I said to him. During the panel discussion, he talked about that gun. If you pull that gun, it should be a life or death situation. You don't pull it on people just to pull it on people. There should be a life or death situation. So I wanted to have a little discussion on that point. What if you see a big man beating a small woman, not necessarily trying to kill her, but he's beating on her? Is that reason to pull the gun and tell him to back away?
No, I'm not going to, no.
Okay, you're saying no, but I'm talking legal. Is that a legal?
I would think no, still.
Okay, you would think no.
I would think no. Because he doesn't have a gun. You didn't mention that he had a gun.
Okay. What Assistant Chief Gillum said to me is that could be a life or death situation. And under the circumstance, you may have a right to do that. You may have a right to do that. He even said that down at the department, they talked to some of their female officers about this very same point.
Mm-hmm.
If they're being attacked, beaten, whatever, what have you, by a much larger person, do you have a right to pull your gun? And so they have that same debate at the police department.
Right.
Now, I feel that you should be able to pull your gun and just ask the person to back off if you're not ready to shoot. Generally, pull that gun, be ready to use
shoot.
it.
Right. That's the whole thing.
However, it doesn't say you're required to do it.
Well, you don't have required,
right.
But it's all emotion. It's the heighten of the whole emotional part of it, and that's what's dangerous about it. And you're saying they're not clear. I can't be sitting in court for something I've done and it ain't clear. I want to walk out that day because I know for a fact I'm in the right.
Right.
So they need to clear areas. All this, they should have did their homework and cleared all that up before this open carry stuff or this other gun stuff. It needs to be clear. I can't be sitting in court.
Well, they're going to have, what he said, they're going to have more panel discussions because there's a lot to say about this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad he called me because I was able to ask the question that was on my mind when I was at the Enoch Davis Center.
Yes,
go ahead, Russ.
I think the thing that bothers me, and I keep hearing it saying that guns don't kill people. People with guns kill people.
Mm-hmm.
And I go back and look at an old Western Dodge City. You guys can remember that you look at that what these guys did when people were coming into Dodge City in order to change the law, they stopped them at the line and said, you better turn where you're going.
Right.
Go back and look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Go back and look at that.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me that people don't look back or read history to see these kind of things. What you have done, and here you and Jamie talk, anytime you got a question mark on pulling of a gun, you got a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Should I do this? Should I not do this? Now, let's say you do that and you got a question mark, you go to court and you don't win this thing.
That's my point.
You see?
Yeah.
So anytime, and I will tell the police, anytime there's a question mark dealing with a gun, you got a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, you should look at, you're talking about maybe you should. No.
It needs to be clear
It
and
got
concise.
to be clear and concise.
Clear and concise.
There you go.
In other words, you shouldn't have allowed open carry until you had these things checked off as concrete decisions. Because now you got somebody saving this lady because the dude turned off her and rushed at him, and he's a big guy and he got capped. You see what I'm saying? It's emotion. It's a whole lot of things to consider. And you can't be, well, I don't know. We got to meet on the panel. Well, my life is at stake. I need to know if I'm going to be charged for murder or what. Y'all should have this worked out. Whether it's open carry, a concealed weapon, or whatever the case may be. It needs to be, I think they pushed the, what did they say, the cart before the horse? I think they allowed this without having, all that should have been already decided what's what. Don't pass a law and then, well, we're going to work on the law behind it in the different situations. No. People need to know, because that is a good situation. What do you do in that situation? Because if that dude, big dude, 6'5", whatever, and you some little squirrely guy with a gun, and you pull it, and he turns off, what you gonna do? He done. Now, were you in the right? Were you in the wrong? You're trying to be hero over here. Now, since they're not deciding, you looking at a life sentence. Your freedom is as long as your money. How long is your money? Because that lawyer gonna milk you until you.
You remember the time when they had that riot and the white couple had their gun. They were passing a white couple place.
Right.
You remember that?
Missouri.
Yeah, you remember that?
Right.
And the white side of the thing looked at it as a great thing, that the man and woman should be able to do that to protect themselves. But oh man, that's serious. That stand your ground thing is a serious thing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They never made that concise. And it's still up for grabs.
Going back to what Jamie said, there's nothing in the law that is cut and dry. That's why you got these lawyers. Everything that's written in law as we know it today can be interpreted one way or another.
And that's the scary part.
It is scary, but that's the reason we have court systems. That's why we have attorneys. Going back to what you just brought up, that married couple that came out of their homes with their rifles because you had protesters marching in front of their home. They were arrested. Their guns were confiscated. But I think eventually they got their guns back.
They got it back.
Yeah. And the arrest warrant, a charge was dismissed, if I'm correct. But they didn't go to jail.
No, they didn't go to jail.
So, and a lot of these laws, it depends on who you are as to how they're interpreted.
Money.
They're going to be interpreted for us one way, and for some others a different way. That's just the way it is.
Right.
But
just like a president with 34 felonies.
That's the point. That's the point.
Good point.
Has no business, no business being the president of this country. No business.
That's a good point.
Well, I tell you, it would be a good thing if they have more of these seminars, conferences on the subject you try and get there. Because a lot is being discussed, and it might come down to being something that you need to protect yourself from being incarcerated. Incarcerated. Well, I've been notified that time is out. And with that in mind, I want to thank my two co-hosts for a job well done as always. I want to thank you, the listening audience, for tuning in to the Ray Tampa Podcast, 99.1 FM The Bird, and I ask that you continue doing so each and every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. And we also ask that you go to YouTube, type in the Ray Tampa podcast and you can see them all. Lastly, we ask that you call the supervisor of elections office and renew.
I just didn't.
Renew. You just did yours?
Just did.
Good. Renew your mail-in ballot
Yes.
request.
Yes.
So again, with all that being said, good evening.